Hi, and welcome, yes, to This Week in Baltimore Eating. Join us here every Thursday at 12:30 to talk about everything food-related in Baltimore. I'm Richard Gorelick, and I'm here with my special guest, Tony Foreman of Foreman Wolf. Welcome, Tony.
Hey,
it's
how
good
are
to
you?
see you.
Nice to see you. Always is.
Thanks for coming on a very cold day. What happens to restaurants on cold days?
Totally depends upon what sort of drama and panic there is in the weather forecast. If there's news that's bigger than the weather, all that kind of business, people will overreact, and so sometimes it'll drive them inside for soup, and sometimes they'll have an extra cocktail or so, and sometimes they're afraid to leave their house because of the polar vortex.
And it'll keep them home. So it's just maybe just 1 degree off on the panic scale.
Yeah.
But this feels like a good cozy day to go out to.
Yeah, I mean it's
not windy.
sun is shining. There's no snow drama. Yeah,
Yeah, and we're not
good night to get out.
We're not in Minnesota.
Oh, God bless us.
Golly. Let's catch up with you and your family and your restaurant family is what I mean. How are things with all of your...
Things are good.
Good. Let's review
Things are
some
good.
of the restaurants that you're
Well,
responsible for.
The Charleston's the original.
Yes,
and
the flagship.
Cindy Wolf is my partner there, and the chef there every day, and we opened in '97.
97. Wow.
And
Think of it.
Petit Louis was second to open. That's 2000. And we've done French bistro food there, trying to be very true to 100 years ago for almost 2 decades. And then, I have 2 wine shops along the way as well. Bin 604 opened in 2001 down in Harbor East. 2004, Pazzo opened, had a giant run, and then 2 years ago turned it into an Argentine restaurant, trying to do a slightly more civilized version of that space, and that's gone nicely.
Bar Vasquez
Bar Vasquez.
and Chingale.
And Cinghiale, the restaurant I named so that no one could spell it or pronounce it.
I tried so hard.
Entirely to amuse myself. I apologize to everyone.
I
Cinghiale
forget
means wild boar, by the way.
I remembered.
Yeah.
I remembered that. I must have written about it.
Yeah, the 2 great big brass wild boar busts on the bar. And Cinghiale does food from the north of Italy, not always the Italian-American food that we see, but a lot of the food from Piemonte, Lombardia, the Alto Adige, the Veneto, Friuli. Frankly, a lot of my favorite places in the world.
I had a question I would have asked you if I had still been on the beat. When we heard that your neighbors down the street on Lancaster Street are busting across the street and going down by the water, can you do that at Cinghiale? Cinghiale.
I can't because there's a marina right there.
Are you okay?
And I don't think I can get the city to give me the property.
All right.
And the developer may have a little bit more oomph with the city than I do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I did have that question. I wanted to talk to you about just changes in the business in, let's say, the past couple of years. It feels like, the restaurant business is, there's some things that are always the same about it, but it does feel like things are different now for a couple of reasons. Do you have any ideas what I'm getting at? Yeah. Let's talk about that.
The visitation to the city is hard. We're in a tough time. And that's not just from out of the market. That's not just, a few less conventions are coming. That's from Carroll County or Harford County and so on, that people, since 2015, people don't always engage with the city the way that, frankly, a city boy sitting here, I think that they should. Baltimore is the center of things for the region. It's part of what all of us are involved in. It's, mana for your entire life. If the city is not feeling the way that it should, if it's not doing well, be involved. That doesn't mean just stay out in the burbs and abdicate any, collective cultural responsibility.
That's one thing, and it's beyond.
Sorry to lecture, but it's significant to the business, but it makes me sad. Just as a Baltimorean, it makes me sad that people will stay on the sidelines and try to let people, they're all humans. They're all from here. They're all from home. Let's take care of each other a bit.
But this mega trend of fewer visitors is not just an anecdotal observation by
No,
now. It's just
no,
a-
it's meaningful. The hotels are off, and we have great assets. I was thinking about when the New Orleans police chief is potentially coming to the city. I was thinking about New Orleans. I'm on the Visitors Bureau board. New Orleans has less assets than we do. Transportation is much more complicated for New Orleans. But for some reason, when people think of going to New Orleans, they think it's a party. When they think of coming to Baltimore, they think of crime. And that we have enough to. All we have to do is fix that messaging and get some momentum going in the right direction. And I think we have a very good situation, not just for restaurants, but I mean for everybody in the market, for property values, for businesses, for recruiting for your business.
So it's important that we all work together on this and work on broad solutions along with messaging.
I didn't realize you were going to give me a chance to soapbox a little bit.
No, I love it. That's what it's, we have nothing but time here. We have no we can talk forever if we wanted to. I'm just trying to get a reaction. But another thing that's changed, it seems, is staffing and
It's
finding.
hard.
Yeah, what has that changed? It feels like it has.
It's hard. Our program, all of our leadership grows from inside the company. So everyone who is a chef started as a dishwasher or a cook. Every, GM or a sommelier started as a busboy or as a server. That's just the path for us. So we do grow our own. There's a certain amount of it makes people a little more attractive to be picked off by other folks, and I understand that, and that's just business, and that's fine. We've always been committed to teaching, so that's something for us that's a big deal. I always thought I was going to be a history teacher or a football coach or a combination of both. So that's what I'm going to do for my pleasure, if nothing else. It is great to share things that are really interesting, really cool, that are essentially eternal about humanity, food and sharing and celebration, and be able to, teach all aspects around that, practical and the art, to younger people.
So one solution, it sounds like, to a staffing challenge is to give people opportunities.
Well, yeah, teach and grow. I mean, that's it. I don't know that I would want everyone to walk in the door sort of ready-made. I would like them to get their habits from me. I would like them to know that how they treat each other is a big deal. I would like them to know that consideration of what's going on with the guest actually is a big deal. It's the position is not just execution and presentation. There's a very big other side to it.
Can you teach empathy?
You can insist on it. You can insist on it pretty vociferously.
Yes.
That's
right.
I know how to insist. Good German Catholic boy.
I would love to hear an example of insisting on it.
You just don't. If someone is not paying attention, then you run back through that example. This is what the guest said, is it not? Did you listen to them? Did you listen to them, or did you put words in their mouth? Did you let them complete what they were saying, or did you assume you knew what the answer was?
That's empathy. That guest was trying to tell you something.
If you learn to listen actively, you would like that without the avocado. I understand. That is what you wish for, yes? No avocado? Then you're going to get an answer, and it's going to be concrete what the guest desires.
Because maybe it wasn't the avocado at all. Maybe it was.
I have a thing that I will do is I like, as an aperitivo, I like Campari and soda. Just a weak one, but I like Campari and soda. And I don't like the orange that's traditional, and I don't like a lime that a lot of people like to put on there. I like a lemon. And I honestly will measure if someone is paying attention by asking them for a Campari soda with a lemon. If I get a lemon, then they probably have a shot, and they need less pushing and it's a really stupid thing, but I found it to be a very worthwhile device.
No, it sounds like a good gauge for what you're going to how much you're going to have to work to get what you need.
And it doesn't mean that they're not terrific people, and people have active minds, and they're always thinking what they're going to say next, and that's great. But you have to be able to get someone to slow it down, focus on what's happening, and.
This is what my improv training has taught me, Tony. We'll talk about that some other time. Listen, I know, first of all, we should tell people that they're listening to watching and listening to This Week in Baltimore Eating with me, Richard Gorelick. Like, share, and comment, and follow us at hashtag JMoreEating. And we're here with Tony Foreman. Then we can talk about the health or some places that you've liked in Baltimore, restaurants other than your own. Lately, it was a general health question about Baltimore restaurants.
I mean, I think that there's a couple of quick comments. One, for the level of business that's actually available to town, we're a little overbuilt. So when you see this place is closing and that place is closing, some of that is normal. There's a lot of churn right now. So health, I think that
churn sounds like a good word.
Yeah, that and people kind of get squished in that churn sometimes, and that's a shame. But everybody feels that pressure. There are interesting things going on for sure. My wife and I have two small children, so we have a 5-year-old and a 20-month-old. And the 5-year-old we can take almost anywhere, and she's very civilized and eats everything, and fish is her favorite thing in the world. And no, Daddy, my bronzino's not crispy enough. And yeah, that she has an expectation. I appreciate that.
I like that.
But the little one is just a complete wrecking machine. And so it makes it much more complicated. So we're pretty limited with those two. And when it's just us, because we're actually either not working and talking to grown-ups at the same time, usually going someplace where we can be like quiet and have a drink and then decide on having something very casual somewhere else, like going to the Bluebird cocktail room, which is not that far from home, and just having like one civilized drink, and that's very pleasant.
Oh boy, a civilized drink is a very important thing in a city.
Yeah.
So all of us are always looking for places to have that quiet, civilized drink, and finding a nice perch at a bar or a cocktail table, very important. Something's coming up that you're involved with. It's the American Heart Association Heart Ball on February 25th at the, which Marriott is it?
At the waterfront downtown. That's the one place with the giant ballroom. So.
Oh, that's the ballroom. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big event and it's a big deal.
Tell people why it's a big deal to you.
So I was born with a ventricle septal defect and a bicuspid valve. What that translated to over time, regardless of seemingly good health, and I mean, I was a good athlete as a kid and all this kind of business. What it translated into was 3 open heart surgeries and 2 other pretty robust surgeries.
At what age?
38, 39. 2015, I got to watch, during recuperation, I got to watch the riots in the city. That maybe I wish I hadn't been home for. And then some more excitement in 2017, a couple of pacemakers along the way. We have miraculous abilities in the city to take care of cardiovascular problems. And I take a number of medications every day, a silly number of medications. And all of that and the dedication of a lot of really talented doctors and surgeons that have taken care of me from the beginning, from the Hopkins as a child to University of Maryland to my cardiologist at Mercy, they've been awesome. That and consciousness towards my diet and consciousness towards exercise and lifestyle factors is actually why I have no business being here if it wasn't for the work of those excellent people. Not everyone's born with defects, but an awful lot of cardiovascular disease exists in the population. 309 people died by homicide last year in Baltimore. 15,000 died from cardiovascular disease. That murder is just the tip of the iceberg for the cultural divide and the quality of life in the market. And since that is the biggest issue in health in our region, and frankly, I've been such a big user, I want to raise whatever I can for the Heart Association. And if it means using skills to make sure we have a superlative party with great music and great wine donated and a great group of people.
And you have an auction prize, don't you?
We have a bunch of auction prizes. We have a really great dinner that was donated by Robert Parker that he's going to host.
Oh, gosh.
With his wife, and a collection from his cellar. There is one auction item is I'm going to lead a group of 6 to Italy and take them through some places they may not see on a tourist trail, and I'm their driver, translator, payer.
And that's fantastic. That's the Heart Ball on February 25th. I didn't write down where people can get information, but we can look it up.
It's the if you can just look up the American Heart Association Heart Ball 2019, and it will lead you into the site. And there's Fleetwood Mac tickets, there are Billy Joel tickets. We've had all kinds of rare wine already donated to it. Cindy is doing a dinner for 10 people at her house that she's making me bring the wine for and probably wash the dishes for.
Well, if they can find this Facebook Live show, then they can find that information.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of credit. Thanks for watching, by the way. It's been really a pleasure talking to you. It's good to see you.
Yeah, always good to see you.
And we're going to say goodbye. Is there anything that you thought I was going to ask you that we didn't end up talking about?
No.
Good.
No.
I like that. That's an old journalist trick.
Yeah, thanks for...
I thought you were going to ask me about the bribes. The bribes I was taking.
No bribes, actually.
Good.
No, we're the Boy Scouts and what we do.
Oh, do people... this is not a question about your particular restaurant, but in movies and television, people are always slipping a 20 or a bill to the maitre d'. Does that exist in real life?
That does exist in real life. It sure better not affect how someone is treated. One of the things I try to make sure we say to our staff, it's really easy. If you go into a restaurant and you see there's a guest that all the staff knows, and they all say hello, that makes that guest feel amazing. And it should. And it's great that they're there all the time. If you have the guest who's visiting the one time and it's a big deal to them, and maybe they're waiting a certain, 2 years, 5 years to come into your place, and they don't know anyone, and they're in an unfamiliar place, those are the people that actually require our best efforts. They may leave with only one memory of being there. We got one shot at having them be as impressed as they could be. How are we making them feel about the time they spend with us?
I remember getting my hands on the employee guide of a well-known restaurant in Baltimore that's prized or well-known for its good service, and it said in there, if guests are leaving and they cross your path, whether they're your table or not, you have to say good night, or whatever it was they said, good night and thanks for coming, we'll see you again. But you had to have that peripheral vision and that attention and that warmth for people.
People are paying your rent. They're paying your mortgage. I mean, it's really not, it's not a complicated relationship.
It's not.
It's flattering that you came in, and I'm really, super thankful.
We'll see you again. That's such a lovely thing to say. And thank you for coming here, Tony, and we'll see you again here.
That's great.
Thanks. I appreciate
Thanks,
it
Richard.
very much. Thank you.